My name is Lucas Reed, and at 34, I've spent most of my life as the cousin nobody quite remembers to invite. Not out of malice, but because I was always on the periphery of our family's tightly knit circle, a footnote in their story, a name scribbled on a guest list as an afterthought. That changed last summer when I walked away from my cousin Sophie's engagement party, unacknowledged and unseen, only to find my voice and rewrite my place in the family. This is the story of how I stopped being the ghost at the table and started building one of my own. I grew up in Asheville, North Carolina, in a small house with a sagging porch and a view of the Blue Ridge Mountains. My mom died when I was 11, a car accident that left my dad, Henry, a carpenter, hollowed out. He was never close with his siblings, my aunts Clara and Diane and Uncle Paul, and after Mom's death, he retreated further, skipping family barbecues and holiday gatherings. I don't blame him. Grief is a heavy load. But it meant I grew up on the edges of our extended family, invited to events out of obligation rather than warmth. My name would appear on group texts, often misspelled or added late, a courtesy from someone like Aunt Clara, who'd forget she wasn't supposed to include me this time. Still, I showed up. I'd bring a homemade pecan pie from the recipe Mom taught me, or a bottle of local craft bourbon everyone praised when someone else brought it. I'd ask about promotions, compliment kids' soccer trophies, and smile through small talk. But I was background noise, a prop in their family portrait, there to fill space. They weren't cruel, just indifferent, and that cut deeper than any insult. So when I got a text from Sophie, my cousin and Aunt Clara's pride and joy, inviting me to her engagement party, I was stunned. Sophie was the family's golden girl, Duke grad, nonprofit director, engaged to Julian, a tech entrepreneur with a disarming smile and a penchant for marathon running. Their life was Instagram-curated perfection, and I assumed their guest list would be too. Yet there it was. Lucas would love for you to come to our engagement party. Can you make it? I stared at the message, half expecting it to vanish. I replied, wouldn't miss it. Let me know if I can bring anything. Her response, a heart emoji and just bring yourself, felt genuine, if polished. I spent days preparing. I bought a tailored navy blazer, understated but sharp, and a gift, a hand-carved wooden recipe box etched with their initials and wedding date, filled with blank cards for the meals they'd cooked together. I wrapped it in sage green paper, tied with a linen ribbon. The venue was a botanical garden outside town, a place Sophie had raved about online, wisteria-draped arbors, fairy lights woven through ancient oaks, a cobblestone path leading to a glass pavilion. As I arrived, the air smelled of jasmine and laughter mingled with the clink of champagne flutes. At the check-in table, Sophie's cousin Lila, a 22-year-old influencer with a clipboard, squinted at me. Lucas, right? Clara's nephew? Her tone was uncertain, like she was piecing together a puzzle. Yeah, Sophie's cousin, I said, keeping it light. She scribbled something, handed me a blank name tag, and waved me toward the pavilion. It's down the path, near the lily pond. The setup was breathtaking. Linen-draped tables, candles flickering in glass hurricanes, place cards with calligraphy. Guests in tailored suits and floral dresses mingled, their voices a warm hum. I scanned the tables for my name, my gift bag heavy in my hand. Nothing. Not at the main tables, not at the smaller ones by the bar where Sophie's college friends clustered. I was about to check again when I heard Aunt Clara's voice, sharp and unmistakable, cutting through the crowd. Didn't think he'd actually show, she said, standing with Aunt Diane and a family friend, her champagne flute glinting. She glanced at me, her eyes flicking from my blazer to my shoes, then back to her friends. Guess we'll need an extra chair, maybe some leftovers if the kitchen's still open. Their laughter was soft, the kind that stings because it's meant to be discreet. I froze, the gift bag suddenly feeling like a weight I didn't want to carry. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm out. I set the gift on the table, its ribbon catching the light, and walked back down the cobblestone path, past the wisteria, the music fading behind me. No one noticed. In my car, I sat in silence. Not angry, not sad, just tired. Tired of showing up, of hoping this time would be different. I drove to my friend Mateo's apartment, where he and his partner Nora were grilling burgers on their tiny balcony. We laughed, ate, and watched a cheesy action movie. It wasn't glamorous, but it was home. That night, I posted a photo of us, me with a beer, Mateo flipping the camera off, Nora sticking out her tongue. Caption, here's to the ones who make room for you. No tags, no drama, just truth. By morning, my phone was a war zone. Text from Sophie. Are you okay? Aunt Clara. That post was uncalled for, Lucas. Lila. You made things super awkward, FYI. A voicemail from Uncle Paul, who never calls. Clara's upset, saying you shamed the family online. Maybe clear it up? I didn't respond. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to explain myself. This wasn't about one party, it was about years of being the afterthought, the cousin who existed to fill a seat but never to belong. I went for a walk in my neighborhood, a quiet corner of Asheville with dogwoods shedding pink petals. I left my phone behind, letting the wind and the rhythm of my steps clear my head. For once, I wasn't performing acceptance. I was just me. When I got home, I read Sophie's latest message. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I didn't know there wasn't a seat. I told Lila to add you, I swear. Don't let Aunt Clara get to you. She's just being her usual self. It was kind, but it didn't land. Sophie was always the peacemaker, smoothing over cracks without addressing them. Then I opened Aunt Clara's text. It's incredibly rude to attack your family online when we've always included you. If you felt left out, you should have said something instead of embarrassing us. The hypocrisy burned. Her mocking me to my face was fine, but my quiet truth was a crime. I started collecting evidence, not for revenge, but for clarity. Old photos, me at the edge of family reunion shots, half cropped out, me taking the picture at Clara's 50th birthday while she posed with Sophie, me as a kid beaming next to Mom before the family froze us out. I saved Clara's text too in a folder I called Proof. Then I did something unexpected. I wrote to my grandmother, Evelyn, who lived in a cottage an hour away. Not a text, but a letter, handwritten on cream paper. I told her everything. The invite, the snub, the laughter, the blame. I've always shown up, Gran, I wrote, but I'm done begging for a place at a table that doesn't want me. A week later, her reply arrived, her shaky cursive filling 2 pages. Lucas, you've always been a light in this family, even when they didn't see it. I'm sorry I stayed quiet too long. You don't owe them your silence. Come visit. I've got peach cobbler and stories about your mom. I held the letter, tears pricking my eyes. Gran had always been the quiet observer, her wisdom tucked behind a soft smile. Her words were a lifeline. Then Sophie called. I saw Aunt Clara's Facebook post, she said, her voice tight. She's saying you're bullying the family, playing victim. I told her to stop, but she won't. I left the family group chat. Elena and Darren did too. I hadn't known there was a group chat naturally. Clara's post was a masterclass in deflection. When family uses social media to manipulate, it hurts. We welcomed everyone, but some choose drama over love. Her friends chimed in with heart emojis and stay strong, Clara. I added the screenshot to my folder. The tide began to turn. Cousin Elena texted, I saw your post, Lucas. I get it. Clara's always been like this. Darren sent a simple, you okay, man? My second cousin Mia followed me on Instagram, a small rebellion. The younger cousins were waking up, seeing Clara's patterns, her favoritism, her need to control the narrative. Then Sophie dropped a bombshell. Julian and I are having a small wedding, just close family and friends. We want you to officiate, not a priest, not a stranger. You. I was floored. Me, the guy who'd stood on the sidelines leading her wedding? I hesitated, remembering the engagement party, the sting of being erased. But Sophie's voice was earnest. You've always seen people, Lucas. You show up even when it's hard. That's who we want up there. I agreed, but with a condition. Clara would have no role in the ceremony, not in planning, not in speeches, nothing. Sophie didn't flinch. Done. Clara didn't take it well. She unleashed a tirade, texting Sophie, Julian, even Gran, claiming I'd hijacked the wedding, that I was poisoning the family. She called me, her voice a mix of rage and condescension. You're tearing us apart over a misunderstanding. Lucas, I worked so hard for Sophie's party, and you made it about you. I let her talk, her words piling up like kindling. Then I said, you didn't expect me to show up, Clara. You didn't save me a seat. You laughed in my face. But you expected me to stay quiet. That's over. Silence, huh? Then you're ungrateful, she hissed. I hung up, not angry but free. Clara's campaign backfired. Her own husband, Uncle Greg, texted Sophie, your mom's out of line. I'm with you. Cousins unfollowed Clara online, tired of her martyr act. Her brunches grew quieter. Her holiday newsletter recipients dwindled. She wasn't hated, just irrelevant to those who'd seen her for what she was. The wedding was magic. A meadow near Sophie's childhood home, fairy lights strung between pines, a wooden arch draped in wildflowers. Gran sat up front, her lavender shawl catching the breeze, her eyes bright. I stood under the arch, a leather-bound notebook in hand, no script needed. Love, I began, is not a performance. It's not about who's watching or who applauds. It's about showing up day after day for the people who show up for you. It's about making space, even when it's messy, even when it's hard. Sophie's eyes shimmered. Julian's hand tightened around hers. When I pronounced them married, the crowd, 50 people no more, erupted in cheers, raw and real. Clara didn't come. She'd threatened to, sent Sophie a final guilt-laden text. You'll regret excluding your mother. Sophie didn't reply. At the reception, we danced under the stars, ate peach cobbler Gran brought, and laughed until our sides ached. Sophie posted a photo later. Me, her, and Julian under the arch, my notebook open. Caption, to the cousin who always showed up, thank you for making our day ours. Now I host my own gatherings. Mateo, Nora, Gran, a few cousins who've drifted my way. No place cards, no hierarchy, just a long table with extra chairs. Clara still posts her newsletters, still plays the victim, but her audience is shrinking. I don't hate her. I don't need to. I've found my people, the ones who see me, who save me a seat. And for the first time, I'm not standing at the edge of someone else's story. I'm writing my own.